All right, thank you. G'day. Thank you. Geez, I hope I don't suck now after that. Thanks. Thanks, Dicko. It is really nice to be back in the Gong and back doing one of these gigs for Megan and Steve today as well. It's good to see faces that I recognised from the last time too, so thank you for coming back. It's always a good sign. What I want to talk about today is how to stand out, and especially how to stand out by being yourself. And I never used to do this. I was part of the corporate machine for a long time, and it's really nice to hear a few people now say, just this morning, that they're cruising along in their comfort zone, they hide behind their brand. Well, I feel like you're going to be put under a lot of pressure in the next 3 hours. So, and not because I'm going to make you stand up and do things, but because I'm going to tell you how I do it. And sometimes I can be a little too frank for people. Sometimes I can be a little bit too honest and a little bit too transparent. We're going to talk about that in a minute because it's actually a blessing and often a curse for me. So let's see how we go. If you hang on, I have to do that. If you want to hit me up after this, ask me any questions or give me any feedback, you can find me across everything at Nick Bowditch. And this is me. So I always start with this slide because authenticity is very, very important to me, and this is the most authentic representation of my life that there is. These 4 feral but delightful little things are the reason that I get up out of bed and the reason I go to work. They're the reason I travel around doing these things, both in Australia and outside Australia. And they're the reason really that I want to stay connected, not only to small business, I'm from a small business background, but also to the tech world and how the world communicates, mostly because of her. My 7-year-old daughter will soon be a 13-year-old daughter, God help me. And after that, it just gets progressively more shit, I think. So, oh, awesome, that's really not very encouraging. But so I don't want to be the sort of dad who looks over her shoulder as she types into whatever device she types into when she's 13, if she does, even. But I do want to know how she's plugged into the matrix. I do want to know how the world's communicating with her and how she's communicating with the world. I want to know if she's being bullied or if she's doing the bullying, which is far more likely at this point. I want to know how that's all working. And I want to stay across it without looking over her shoulder or being my dad. I want to just know that she's safe and that she can't be communicating in a way that I don't know about, and I really want to know that she's communicating her truth. I really want to know that she's being authentic and transparent and honest, and that she's safe. The other 3 boys are all dumb as posts. I'm not too worried about them, but my daughter I'm especially concerned about. It's totally true. As you can see, I'm a prolific breeder. We had 4 babies in 5 years, so now there's 7. How old is 7, 6, 4, and she's just turned 3. He was very lucky to make it that far. And I have a very beautiful and supportive partner who supports me not only as a parent, but through all the other craziness I bring to her world and ours. Because I am a successful and unsuccessful entrepreneur. I have been far more unsuccessful than I've been successful. I've had far more duds than I've had wins. But I've had a couple of wins. And a couple of those wins were, I've started, built and sold 3 tech startups of my own before I was recruited by Facebook, where I worked for 3 years as the manager of small business and startup operations for Australia and New Zealand, and then after that, Asia Pacific. And it was great. Every day was a new experience there. I was able to literally sit and work next to geniuses every day. I was the dumbest person in the office by miles. I was the oldest person in the office by miles. And that was fine with me because I just soaked it in, and it was amazing. I learned a lot about myself and a lot about the world and a lot about how the world communicates within that massive machine, which was quite a small machine when I got there, and it got progressively bigger. But so then I did my 3 years there, and I kind of semi-retired then, and I just went surfing a lot and chilled out for about half a year. And then Twitter recruited me through LinkedIn. ironically, to go and work there and do the same thing I'd done at Facebook. So I was the small business evangelist for them in Asia Pacific, and I'd just do this with their shirt on, basically, mostly, and work out ways to try and grow their business and grow your businesses on that platform. So I come to you today as someone who has built and sold and failed in businesses on these platforms, as well as worked inside those platforms helping businesses like yours try to build and thrive. Now I'm back in small business land again, which I'm very happy about. And what I do now is go around and do speaking gigs mostly. And I've just completed a book, which we have a few copies of today as well. The book is mostly, though, less about my business life and more about the things that go on for me that make my life more difficult. So this is me, and, the authentic representation of me is important. That's the first thing I want to leave you with today. If you're trying to get by on Twitter because somebody has told you to be on Twitter, and you don't know what you're doing, and you suck at it, everybody's going to know it. That matters on Twitter. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, or you shouldn't try, but you should say, perhaps, we're new to this Twitter thing, are we doing it right? Give some feedback. Oh shit, we made a mistake there, sorry about that. Or we end up in court, or whatever it might be. Yeah, very good. But you know what I mean? Like, if you're trying to bullshit your way through, the world knows. The world's too savvy now. When I started my very first small business, it was 2006, and I grew that business on Facebook, which actually led me to working there a few years later. But when I first started that business and we first started on Facebook, there was no ads on Facebook. There was no sponsored content. You couldn't boost posts. There was none of that. It was all about storytelling and connection and engaging with people and being yourself. That's the only way you could actually grow a business there. So obviously now we and everyone who's worked at Facebook since has built and developed a platform that's made it very, very simple for you to reach a lot of people at once very cheaply. Much more cheaply than any other platform on earth, any other channel on earth. Indoor, outdoor, online, offline. But the authentic thing is still true. If you are trying to be something you are not, people will know, and it will bite you on the ass. Every time. And if I got up here, if I came to a speaking gig, a business thing like this, or anything I do, and I wore a suit and tie or shoes, then that's not me. That's not my brand. It's not truthful. And you would sit there as an audience watching me do this, thinking, that dude is lying to me. And that's what we do, offline and online, when we try and be someone not. When we try and sell ourselves through and bluff our way through, and you don't know what you're doing. Or you're saying, I won't ask for a show of hands because I'm sure this will be a lot of people in this room. We're all small business people, right? But we all probably, when you blog or make a Facebook post or something like that talking about your own business, you probably say we, us, making yourself seem like you're Coca-Cola when it's you and your jammies on your own, instead of saying I and me. That's the simplest thing that we can change right now. Because if somebody is supporting you in your small business, they're supporting you because you are a small business. And if you say us and we're this massive conglomeration of people and whatever, eventually that's going to bite you on the ass when you invite them around to the office, which is your garage, and there's just you. Or some way it's going to bite you on the ass, right? So that's the first sort of thing I want to leave you with is be you, because that's plenty. Everybody else is trying to do all that other stuff. Fuck that. Leave them. Be you, right? So, which leads me nicely into this next bit. So this is me, as I've said, but this is also me. I am an addict. I have depression that is sometimes so marked in my life that I can't get out of bed for a day or a week or a month. I have post-traumatic stress disorder, and I take medication for that every day. Otherwise, I have nightmares every night. That's what's going on for me all the time. And I kept that hidden for a long, long time. And now, when I've gone, you know what? I'm done with that. I can't do it anymore. And I've gone, this is me. Not only have people gone, shit, that's me too. But they've also gone, oh, I'm so glad you said that because we always thought there was something a bit weird about you. And now it makes sense, right? So, you might wonder how those two things live in the same body. Those two people live in the same body. But for me, my mental illness is a gift to me. In business, it brings so many good things that kind of counterbalance all the shit things. I am unreliable. And the gift of that is that I'm actually, when you get me, like I'm unpredictable. I'm unreliable too, but when I'm unpredictable, when you get the good version of me, like you don't know what you're going to get. My wife doesn't know what she's going to get every day. My kids don't know who they're going to get every day. But when they get the best one of me, it's really good. My mental illness is a gift because I'm really good at deadlines. But where a normal person and the deadline's here, a normal person builds, incrementally towards deadline. I just do nothing until about 9 minutes before the deadline, and I'll hit it dead on. But I hit it dead on every time. I've never missed a deadline ever. I write most of these decks in the plane, or sometimes in the Uber on the way, but I never ever miss a deadline. I have crazy obsessive thinking about the minutiae of the minutiae. And I really high-level thinking, and then I have the really, really fine thinking about crazy shit that nobody else sees. But all the middle stuff, I don't really know how stuff gets done. It just kind of happens or it doesn't. Other people do that, I think. But those two extremes are what I'm really good at. So I can see, if I'm helping a business like yours, I can see the difference the font size will make on your website to your sales incrementally down the track. Or I can see that you don't try that postcode with your Facebook targeting. Instead of trying 2261, try 2262 because I know that has a better breakthrough. These are things that only mad people can focus on. But that's the gift of my madness, is that I can focus on that. Another one is that when my depression is at its worst, my creativity is at its best. I can create beautiful, impactful, really effective storytelling when I can't get out of bed. 3/4 of that book that I've written, which is all about my mental illness actually, but and how I run a business and live, 3/4 of that book was written in my bed because I wrote it on days where I couldn't get out. And I don't know whether anyone else knows that feeling, but it's the worst feeling in the world. When your kids are outside your bed and your wife is outside your bed and your life is outside of your bed and you can't swing your legs over the edge. It's fucked. But the bonus of that is that when I do get up, when I do inject myself into the world, I'm effective. I'm good. I get fatigued really easily because of mental illness. That means I get the rest I need. And sometimes we don't do that, right? Sometimes not only do we, as small business people, not rest enough, but we seem to take this weird badge of pride in doing a 20-hour day for a week. Like, what the hell is wrong with us? Why do we want to do that? And you know what? It's Gary bloody Vaynerchuk's fault. And all those people that talk to you about hustle. Hustle is the worst word ever. Because hustle means do a 20-hour day because your business is going to fail if you don't. But while you're doing that, don't worry about your family and your friends and your connection and your mental health and your physical health and your soccer team and your lawn and all those other things that actually need your attention and people who need your attention because you need to hustle. Otherwise, you are a failure. That is terrible messaging. Terrible messaging, right? And that's why I think I just can't do it. I can't do a 20-hour day. I can't physically do it, which is great. Right? It's the best gift of all that my mental illness gives me. So, I say that to you because I have started to stand out. That's the theme of the day, theme of the 2 days. I've started to stand out because I've started to tell the truth a lot. And we don't. And I don't suggest you all go as far as I do because my wife will tell you it's not always that great. And sometimes she'll ring me or text me and go, dude, remove that Facebook post. Like, you can't say that. I'm like, oh, okay, that's the boundaries. I'm not very good at boundaries, right? So she's very patient. My wife is a therapist. You might be surprised to learn. Anyway, so I wonder, A, what your story is, and B, are you telling it? Are you telling the story of yourself and your business, which is the same thing, that the world thinks they know? Are you telling the story that the world is telling about you? Let's go through a little exercise. I want you to write on your, whatever you have there, your little workbooks, a bit of paper. What do you say to people that you do? This is before I give you any sort of further breakdown or instruction. I just want to know right now, as you came in this morning, the truthful answers, and it has to be truthful because some of these are going to be hard, right? But what do you say you do when someone says, what do you do? Okay, we all got that? The fact that some people are still writing worries me. You probably bored someone shitless by the time you've said all of that. Second question, what do other people say you do? If you ask anyone who's close to me in my life, any of my mates, what I do for a living, they would not have a single clue. My dad tells everyone that I work in IT. Dads. Right? Third question. Truthfully, how happy are you with your messaging to the world right now? For instance, you can rate it from 0 to 10 if you like, or, if you think, so who is the young lady who's a lawyer is happy with your brand you built, but the messaging isn't quite true, is it? Because you're not in front of that brand yet. That's what I mean. Like, how happy are you with where you are now? Told you it's going to be way more uncomfortable in a minute. So, the fourth thing is, I want you to write down something about you that nobody else in this room knows. And if you're really brave, make that somebody that nobody else anywhere knows. I'll give you an example. I play the piano pretty well, actually. And I played the role of Danny Zuko in my school production of Grease in Year 10. Not many people know that. I'm the blondest wog that ever was in the thing. I also have an aversion to birds, which Megan shares, thankfully. I finally met someone who hates birds as much as I do. And I can't stay in a hotel room if there's a shower curtain in the room, which I think everybody should probably adopt that policy. Nobody makes shower curtains, do they? Good. Ugh, I can hardly say it. Imagine someone's got into that room. First of all, the two things that never get washed in a hotel room are the bedspread and the shower curtain. And when you get in that shower and you're filthy, because everyone is, and the water hits you, all your filth some of it goes down, most of it goes over you or off you onto that shower curtain, which never ever gets changed. And then they kind of touch you when they're wet and... The fifth thing is, what is the one thing about your business that you never communicate to the world? Exactly, that's usually the one thing. Cash flow sucks. And any small business person who tells you, oh, cash flow is a piece of piss, it's a breeze, I'm killing it, they're lying. They're lying. Every single small business owner knows the feeling of driving into the servo and sitting there for a moment and going, shit now, which account is there enough money to put the petrol in the car? Every one of us knows that, but no one ever says it. So which one is it for you? Okay, we all got those 5 answers? Anybody need more time? Okay, you probably know this was coming. Now I need some people to share and hopefully not get mocked and bullied about their answers, but I really feel like there's a good vetting process to be able to release some of this from you. Now, I can do this 2 ways. I can pick people out at random if nobody puts their hand up. That's the 2 ways. So, first question, what do you say you do? Karen, what do you say you do? Karen, Snoresville. What do you really do? Well then, why the fuck didn't you say that in the first time? All right, who else? Volunteers or I'll pick people? Yep.
I empower Aboriginal people.
That's pretty good to me. Yeah, very, very good. As the whitest black fella in Australia, I can tell you, I'm very connected to that. My mob is Ewan, which is southeast New South Wales, actually a bit further down the coast. So, very good. Who else? It is very boring, but you're on the right track because you're talking about humans at least. So you make people better at what they do. See how it's so much better storytelling. I train trainers. Really? Please tell me more about that while I just have a snooze. Anybody else? Yep, I know what you do. I feed people. Bloody oath. That's really good, Shaz. Perfect. All right, so what do other people say about you that you do that isn't... Let's pick a few out of the room where they don't know what you do or they say what you do and it's not true. Is anyone that?
They play in the government machine.
Who says that? Your people or the people that you teach?
It's probably outside my family.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Anybody else? No, everybody else knows exactly what you do and says it right.
My family believes I go out every day and visit women in coffee shops.
If your job is a gigolo, then they're spot on. Yeah, well, you are kind of a gigolo in that case, but yeah. All right, good. Anybody else? Yep, sorry.
So I'm a graphic designer, so if they don't say that I'm a graphic designer, they say I make things pretty.
That could almost be the first thing.
It's not really,
That could almost be what you do. What did you say you do?
well, it's kind of boring now, but I help small business grow and succeed through their branding and marketing.
I prefer I make things pretty, actually.
There's more
Okay, there is more to it.
There's a lot more.
So there's a happy medium between those two, right? And I feel like the what do you do thing, if you don't speak about humans in the answer to that, you've got it wrong. Because we don't care otherwise. That's when you become really insular and really, subjective. Because you can't, you know about your product and the prices and the features and all that, and nobody else cares. They just want to know what you do. In fact, most people ask that question without even wanting to know the answer. So give them something they can live with. Who's unhappy with their messaging? Who's unhappy, like at the very end of it? Okay, yep. Why are you unhappy with it? How is it different to how you would like it to be? Yep. She knew what she was getting into. That's okay. All right. So, but that's not the question. That's how happy she is with your messaging. Yeah. Okay. Has your business changed or has the world changed? Yeah. Okay. Yep. It's pretty honest. Anybody else?
The first question you asked, it made me think like,
Can everyone hear? Okay. Yeah.
what do I do? I have to put up with customers that come in, think they know more than me, want to tell me what price it is online, want to get their size so they can go and buy it on the internet. I'm in jewellery, by the way, and then come back and want a refund after they've worn it.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
basically,
And jewelry or graphic design or web design, if anyone's in web design, they're all dealing with the same stuff, right? So you are unhappy with your messaging because people are taking the piss, right? So how do you, yeah,
we take it. I mean, they get the better end.
yeah,
Because we're the type to say we will never let you leave unhappy. So we bend backwards
yeah.
to make them happy.
Do you know what the worst sentence ever uttered and grown in business is? The customer is always right. Because that can't possibly be true. None of us are always right. Like, and it's, the showrooming thing is really interesting. It's a really recent phenomenon. You know, show me what you've got and I'm going to Alibaba and get it online. Or whatever.
What brand is it? What model is it? And walk away.
Yeah. I think the Harvey Normans and the Bingleys of the world know your pain as well. With the TV, they go and buy the Kogan one once they've seen the features. So, okay, but that's messaging. We can get around that because the showrooming thing, it's called showrooming, right? When you go and have a look at yours, but then go and buy it online, that can be mitigated to a degree by increasing the experience. That's such a wanky thing to say, and it sounds great, but it's not really that easy. But Grilled. Is Grilled down here? Yeah. So Grilled sell $18 hamburgers. Just the hamburger, right? Which you could make for about $1.80, or you could go to Macca's and get whatever. But they've gone, that's what it costs, and while you're in here, the experience is completely different to anything else you'll ever experience in the hamburger steaks. So they've mitigated that showrooming thing a little bit by increasing the customer experience in store. How do you do? I mean,
Yeah, we are successful because we do that.
yeah.
I have to say, we're still one of the busiest stores.
So maybe it's unfortunate that you just have to take a hit with a percentage of your people, and you just have to accept that that's how some people are.
And the good thing is that we've got a lot of customers that we can refer them to that go out and buy online. There's no warranty. They're made overseas. They're copies. They've been ripped off.
And look, those people are never going to come back to you anyway. They're never going to be your client. They'll only be a customer. And so you have to cut them loose. It's a bit like Groupon, right? The single biggest killer of small businesses in the world ever. That Groupon have convinced a hairdresser to do a half head of foils. How long does that take, ladies? 2 hours? 3 hours? Right? For 80% off the retail price. So some chick is sitting in the seat for 3 hours while other people want to sit in the seat and pay full price, but they can't because someone's taking the piss getting the cheap version of it, and all your resources and all of that as well. And is that person who's got paid 20% of that, is she ever going to come back and pay full price? Never. She's going to go to wherever the next one the Groupon deal is. That's why these group buying things are just crazy. For a small business, they will just kill your business. But I think it's the same sort of thing. Maybe you just have to write them off. 10% of your people who walk through the door are the Groupon crew. And you're kind to them and you're nice to them, but you're not going to lose any sleep. Okay. What is one thing in the room that nobody knows about you? Anybody want to volunteer? Everyone knows everything about you, mate. What's the one thing?
I try to make everyone around me happy and don't look after myself.
That's annoying for you. It's good with self-awareness, though. Yep, nice one. Thanks, mate. Dicko. He really is. You're going to love a piece of my prezzo a bit later, mate. Anyone else? No? Yeah, go on. You've been very brave twice today now. That's
I think I just have to get
good.
I cry a lot because I get overwhelmed and just have too much to do. And I can't stand blankets in a hotel. And now you've made me think of bloody shower curtains.
I'd take the bedspread any day over the shower curtain. Good, thank you. Why is crying? When did emotion get tied to weakness? Like you said it, you said, oh, you know, I'll say it, I cry a lot. Like I'm going to go, oh, you fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Like,
It's like a release for me.
yeah, I cry 4 times a week. On average, probably a bit more. And before I had kids, I would never cry. And now, I can't watch ads, I can't, you know. Like, does anyone know the show Suits, the TV show Suits? I cried in Suits. Like, I can't think of where it was now, but it was, when Mike's grandmother died. I'm like, this is kind of weird. But, you know, that's kind of me. And I just think, blokes especially, that's why so many blokes have such crippling mental illness and why the number one killer of men between 15 and 45 in Australia is suicide, because we just won't relax. It's weird. What is the one thing about your business that you never tell anyone else, which you're about to tell the whole room and the video and everyone else who subscribes? Anybody? Come on. Azza. Wow. Is anyone else like that? Yeah. That's nice. Yeah. Oh, man. It's the worst. Because you can have the most asset-rich business, as both of you do, actually, and so do I. But it doesn't mean you got cash. You know, sometimes I can't put coins in my kids' lunch order. If I'm on the very rare occasion they get a lunch order, but if they do, and I haven't got any money, I can't get any money. Like and I have $1 million business. Like it's crazy. We don't tell anyone that, do we? Because why? Because we're a failure, and it's bullshit. You're not a failure. If you two have been in business as long as you two have, and haven't got cash flow, what chance does a new person have? You know, like so. Yeah. Anybody? Yeah, sorry. Tegan's fucked in that case. Like she's. Anybody else? All right, I'll leave that because I'm going to revisit it a bit later. And I feel like now that you've written it down, it might be more frank to you, more obvious to you. So let's talk about what we tell the world. The world is everyone outside of us. Every one of us now has a global business. Every one of us. Because we have the access to the global population through many, many networks and just in straight advertising and SEO and SEM stuff, that every one of us has a global business. What we tell the world is 3 things. We tell the world misinformation, the wrong thing. We tell people the wrong information, the stuff that we don't need to tell them. And then we tell them too much information, which is me. Let's talk about each of these in turn. Small business people are liars. We all lie all the time. To make it worse, we lie to each other. The only people on earth who know how bloody hard it is to run a small business are the people we lie to about how great we're doing in our small business. You've all been to some networking thing where person A says person B, oh, how you going? And the other guy's like, oh, mate, I'm killing it. We're making so much money and we're really busy and can't get through everything, actually. It's a really good problem to have. Really? You know that that's not true. The person A knows that's not true. And yet person A goes, oh, good, yeah, me too. Yep. Don't we do that? Why do we do that? I can understand why we do that to the world, right? Because, there's a branding issue. But to somebody else in this room or in this group or this environment, everybody knows how hard it is, and none of us are actually competing probably anyway. And it's just all this pride bullshit. Instead of saying, I pull in the servo and I don't know whether I can put money in the car. Or I sit there, this is my trick, I know that there's money somewhere. So I sitting next to the Bowser and I'm going through all the bank accounts, moving, things there and there. Or then I go, well, my wife's got the other credit card and I can't put that in. So, that's real. Why don't we do that? Why don't we tell the truth? Yeah.
I have two clients. One is a bank client, the other is a work client, and I took the wrong phone shopping at work the other day, and I got a full trolley and I got to our home like 10 minutes later. I never felt so embarrassed in my life. I had to leave, come back and get it. But I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. So you made a mistake. Do you know what I mean? Like, it might surprise you to learn that you're not perfect. You know, like, I get that. I totally get that. Money is tied to a real sense of self as a business person. And the biggest problem with that is cash flow, because we can be making money all over the place. Doesn't mean you put petrol in the car. The next thing is then the wrong information. So sometimes as business owners and as branders and marketers and sellers, we get really, because we live and breathe this small business, it's our baby, right? And we live and breathe the products we sell. We know every single thing about the supply chain of that product because that's what we live. We know the cost, we know everyone else's costs, we know everyone else's prices, we know our prices, we know the price margin, we know the features and benefits of the products, all those things. So the problem with that is then when you come to sell a product, traditionally in marketing and sales speak, you sell them what? What do you? The dream? Maybe. That would be really good. That would be really good. But I think what we mostly concentrate on selling them is the features and the benefits of those features of the product. How many buttons it has, how much it weighs, how much it costs, what the price is, what their price is, why that price is different. Right? If I'm trying to sell you this clicker thingy, then traditionally, marketing and sales says that I tell you that there's 4 buttons on the front, right? And it's got the little laser pointer doovalaki, and it's black, and it's made by Logitech, and it has 2 AAA batteries in it. The battery life is a certain amount of time. You get a warranty with it for 2 years. It has the little USB thing you stick in your computer. You can buy it at JB Hi-Fi, and it costs $45. None of which the person who's buying this gives a toss about. They don't even care. If someone's trying to sell me this clicker, I don't care about any of those things. I don't even know what 2 of these buttons do. Right? And I use this thing every day. If I'm trying to sell myself this clicker, then I would focus mostly on it works. If I buy this clicker, I will be better at presenting. If I get better at presenting, it means I can charge more to present. If I charge more to present, it means I don't have to present as often. If I don't have to present as often, it means I can spend more time at home. I can surf at my own break. I can see my 6-year-old do karate. I can go into kindergarten and do reading on Thursday mornings. Thank God I wasn't there yesterday. Dicko gave me an excuse to be here. And I can cook dinner every night for my family, and I get to cuddle my babies more. If I buy this clicker, I get to cuddle my babies more. That's the branding. That's all the messaging you need. And this is whatever it is for you. You know, people don't care. They don't care about price or buttons or features or benefits or warranties or anything else. They'll never care about this because they'll never remember it. But they'll always remember 2 things. They'll remember the difference you made in their life from that point on, and they'll always remember how you made them feel. 2 really simple things. But we don't care about that because we have 16 features I need to tell you about, because that's what I tell everyone who walks in the shop. Do we do that? Who thinks they're pretty good at the other version of cuddle your kids more? Honestly, 1, 2. Well, you're selling dreams, so you're definitely ahead. 3. Okay, good. So the rest of us are me. Oh, I can do that speaking gig I have. You can choose from these 5 topics. You can have it for 45 minutes or an hour and a half or 3 hours, half day. The travel cost is this. Instead of going, if you get me to come to your gig, people will like me and they'll like you more. That's kind of narcissistic, but hopefully that's true. You know, that's what we need to do. Cuddle your babies more. That's what they care about. And then too much information, which is clearly me, and the boundary issue that I have sometimes when I step over, and maybe some of you do that too, where you just give too much information that people don't care about. And sometimes, I've seen this many times, a small business, particularly NGOs actually, and charitable organisations, talk people out of giving them money because they're not quite ready to take it yet. I have to tell you, wait a minute, I've got to tell you, your money's in your hand, but just hang on, because I want to show you this and this and this. And they're like, dude, take my money. We do that a lot. Who sells online? Who takes money for services or product online? Anyone? A couple of people, right. Sometimes people who sell online will make you sign up to their blog first. They won't even show you the prices of the products until you do. Like, what? It's crazy to me. Get out of the way. The button on an e-commerce site, that when you click it, you inherently know that the next page you're delivered will be where you put your credit card details and pay. What should that button be? Colour. What colour should that button be? Green. Because green says, go. It's okay, it's all right, I'm not going to rip you off, everyone else is doing it, come on, just come through and I'll take it, right? But in 72% of small businesses who sell online in Australia, that button is red. And red says, under no circumstances press this button, because I'm definitely going to take your credit card details on the next page, and I'm definitely going to do something dodgy as shit with them. And the other thing is that button sometimes is really hard to find. That button should be the most garish, huge thing on your website that you cannot possibly miss. But we miss that. Or we make them sign up first. Just get out of their way. Sign up to the blog later after they've bought something. Right, we're in business to buy things and sell things. So, I keep turning that off. So then, what we don't tell the world. So that's all the things we do tell the world, and what we don't tell the world, I think, is the most important things, mostly. If I was going to say, of the 10 times I work with a small business one-on-one, 8 out of those 10 are telling the public or telling the customers the wrong thing. Or they're not telling the thing that's important. Shaz's business, tell me again, need a hand. Need a feed. I apologise. She feeds people. But if you look at the website, there's all sorts of stuff you have to get through first. And the very first conversation we had was quite a convoluted one, which was great, actually. But if I'm trying to give you money, you know what I mean? I was a few steps away from that the whole time. So I feel like we don't tell people the crux of it because sometimes we're worried that we're not good enough, or we're worried they're going to think it's stupid, or they're going to think it's too expensive, or they're not going to see the value, or whatever, or they're going to then just go and buy it online, or whatever. So we don't tell them that information. I feel like the more you tell people about not only your business, but yourself, the better and stronger your marketing message will be. I would, in 100% of cases, I buy things if I deal with someone to buy something. So if I'm not just buying something straight online and I haven't dealt with a human, the times when I do deal with a human, my purchase decision is 100% based on the person I deal with. 100%. And if I have a poor experience with someone, no matter how much I want that product or how good the price is, I don't buy it. And I don't think I'm alone. So think about what you're telling and what you're not telling people, because it's important. Now, how do we speak to the world, right? Tina's going to go through some platform stuff later, but I just want to sort of quickly go through some stats about how I speak to people on these different platforms and how maybe you could emulate that too. But first of all, how do Aussies use these platforms? How do Aussies use online stuff? This data comes from Census, not the Census, but SENSIS, Census, and a study they did in December of last year, so it's probably the most recent stuff you can get in this way. 69% of Australians use social media. More than half of us use it every single day. It's not particularly earth-shattering. You probably think that's about right. But I'm interested in where people use it. As buyers, and as someone selling to buyers, I'm interested in where they're using it and what their situation is while they're using this social media and getting my message. 69% of us using the lounge room, 42% in the bedroom, which is really sad, and 12% in the toilet, which is really weird and unhygienic, but probably underreported, I would say, also. But the important one there is the use in the lounge room. For me, because when someone's using social media in their lounge room, what else are they doing? Ignoring everyone else, yes. Yes, but watching TV. So when you're watching TV, whether or not you want to buy something that's on the TV and it's given to you in commercials, we are purchase ready. And you watch The Block, you might not be renovating a house ever, but you are still ready to buy that lamp, or you're still ready to buy, something. You know what I mean? We are purchase ready. And whilst we're purchase ready, that's when we, as small business people, need to sneak up behind them and go, oi, buy this. Right? Now, I work with a company that sells very, very expensive saucepans. I hate it when I say saucepans. It's kitchenware. And this kitchenware is used on a TV show about cooking. I have to be a little bit circumspect about what I tell you, and it's one of the major sponsors of this. And we push ads for this kitchenware in real time, so on Twitter, and we're trying to be better at Facebook, but Twitter is where it mostly, because this show also has the most trafficked website on Facebook and Twitter in Australia. So when you're watching a reality TV show and the ad comes on, you have the choice of three things. You flick over to The Block, or you go and get a cuppa or go to the loo, or you just get your device out, whatever it is, your laptop or your iPad and your phone, you just scroll through it, right, while the ads are on. So we sell a lot of these saucepans, a lot of this kitchenware, by pushing, because we know at the start of the show, we know the exact run of the show for the 12 weeks. We know, and I work with The Block and with The Block Shop as well, so we have that whole run out. We know everything but the winner, actually. Or we don't know the winner of The Block, we know the winner of the other one. And so we know to the commercial break what time that will be in local time, real time. So when Jeremy cooks his coq au vin on his food journey in a particular saucepan, which is one of our saucepans, and he wins that week or something, gets something. You can tell I watch the show heaps. And it goes to ad break, we sell that saucepan that he just used in the ad break on that hashtag. So people literally who are watching this show go, oh my God, Sue, that's that saucepan that dude was just using. It's like a magic trick, it's fate, I must buy it, I'll buy it. Right, so it's important to get people when they're purchase ready and when they're influenced by other things to take advantage of that influence. I work with a few charities, and mostly the work that I do with the charities is to get money in for the charity. So just the donation side of their business. And we run ads. So if you were going to run an ad in Australia to a particular social media user to get money as a donation for a charity, a really good cause, who do you target? First of all, do you target men or women? Women. We don't target men at all. In fact, I can't think of a single business in Australia that should target men at all. Men do not make buying decisions. We don't make big buying decisions anyway. Any dude who thinks, yeah, we still ask for permission or we still get other people's input a lot of the time. Any dude who thinks he has the plasma hanging in his lounge room that he wanted, he's kidding himself. Maybe. But we don't target men at all, we only target women. If I'm going to target women to get money out of them for a really nice charitable cause, when do I target them in the day? When do we run these ads, do you think? At night? So we do target these women on ads at night, and just in the morning in bus commute time, so 8 to 8:45, and 7:30 to 10 past 10. It's a sweet spot for us. We've done lots and lots of testing to get to that. Because what's happening for a woman between 7:30 and 10:10 at night? Kids are in bed. Downtime, yes. Someone mentioned it before. Yeah, there's 2 or 3 shardies in. And the buying remorse, the donation remorse is very low at that point, right? So that's when we get them. And the more shardy they are, the better. But, it's a good cause. So think about that in terms of how you're targeting people and when and where and what they're doing and how they're being influenced at that time and how purchase ready they are and whether they're male or female. We use social after work, during work, and while commuting. The while commuting one is very good for us because it's that we've got to stop the thumb. If you're standing on a bus or a tram or train, you're flicking through your news feed and your mind's already shut down. You've got less than a second to stop someone's scroll, to stop someone and grab their attention. What's going to grab their attention? Images, always. Text will not grab their attention. Right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is commuting. In the mornings in particular, women, this is all the testing we've done that shows this, women, while they're commuting in the morning, are more purchase ready than commuting in the afternoon. And particularly around travel, leisure, entertainment. And particularly on Monday mornings. Monday and Tuesday mornings. I can tell you this, you can sell a 22-year-old female a cruise on a Monday morning, easy as anything, between 8 and 8:45. The 22% at work, I think, is dramatically understated, since we all have a computer in our pocket and we're all connected to Facebook all day. Speaking of which, 95% of people who use social use Facebook, and up to 13 hours per week. 13 hours of our week, on average. So my dad is at one end of that average, and I'm at the other. And somewhere in the middle is 13 hours, right? So people often ask me, look, if I'm time poor or I'm poor, and I know I've got to do something with social and business, what's the one place I should spend my $5 or whatever, my 5 minutes? And I would always tell them it's Facebook, in that situation. Because it's just free here, you get everyone. That said, I also would then asterisk that, and underwood I would say, but you've got to go fishing where the fish are. And sometimes you fish are on Twitter, or Insta, or Snapchat, or Pokemon Go. So right now, or as of December, this is just a little bit light at the bottom for me, but the people who use social media, this is how many of those people use these platforms, right, in Australia. So 95% of social media users use Facebook, 35% of social media users use Facebook. Because Instagram is owned by Facebook, it uses all the targeting of Facebook, it accesses the network of Facebook, it uses the user profiles of Facebook to target ads on Insta. It is Facebook. So they have not only the first and the second, but they'll soon have more than that, which I'll tell you something about in a minute. So the next one down is LinkedIn and Snapchat, which Christina's going to talk about, and then Twitter at the bottom. So again, I would say if you have a certain amount of funds, this very small, or time or effort or attention, you're not going to put it in Twitter. Unless that's where your fish are. So if you can sell something to someone said they were working in government before, Monday 9:30 p.m. when Q&A is on, government things tend to be it's a very good time to get on that hashtag of the Q&A. Yeah, that's where your fish are, right? Yeah, so it's perfect. Also, if you deal with celebrity, or if you deal with authors, or government officials, or rural people, there's a few other things. That's what those fish are. But yeah, so you have to think about where you're spending that time. And this is what I think about, how I think about my brand when I'm thinking about each of these. So Facebook for me, I have 2 presences on Facebook, main ones. I have my Facebook profile, which my friends and my family connected with me on. It's not where clients connect with me on, or, mostly. It's where I put pictures of my kids, at the beach. I'm not going to put pictures of my kids at the beach on my business profile because there's no reason why any of you, as business contacts, should want to see pictures of my kids at the beach or in their jammies or in the bath, right? So that's one thing. And I was going to say I swear on that, but I swear on both. But I'm sort of more relaxed on that. And then I have my work presence, which is my Facebook page and pages. Then I have lots of pages. And I try and keep those two things really separate. I can't totally because I am my brand. Who is their brand? You are. Who else is their brand? Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are too. Tina is too. Dicko is. So if you are your brand, it's very hard to separate those two things. And I kind of think you maybe shouldn't to a degree. But if you work as if you have a Harvey Norman franchise, on your profile, you don't really want to be talking about the new dining table that you've got in store. It's not really true. Facebook is a way to speak to people as you would speak to them if you bumped into them on a bus. Or if you're reconnecting with people that you went to school with, which is how it is actually, most of the time. Insta, the content on Insta needs to be beautiful. Beautiful to look at. There is still something of a beautiful filter, threshold of stuff that works on Instagram. If it's Insta video, right, a minute worth of video on Insta doesn't have to be beautiful. But if you're taking an image of, particularly of a product, if you ever did that, or which I wouldn't suggest you do very often, or whatever it is that you want to sell on Insta, it has to look amazing. And Insta helps you helps you make things look amazing, right? But I remember when I was at Facebook when we bought Instagram for $1 billion. $1 billion. And we all lost our minds because we're all shareholders and dude, you've just spent $1 billion on this company that has 13 employees and doesn't make any money. What the hell? And he was like, yeah, but we suck at rendering photos and we're terrible at video and we really need those 13 engineers. And the only way to get them is to buy them. And everyone was like, oh, Instagram will never make any money. You're an idiot. You've made a terrible decision. Well, no one's laughing now. The two biggest social networks are owned by the same one. But when we bought it, we were worried that someone was just going to JB hi-fi the fuck out of their advertising on it and just make it ugly and shout at you and yellow post-it notes and just horrible, right? So we decided, and they still have, a certain threshold to advertising content, especially on Instagram, that gets refused or gets knocked back if it's not beautiful, which is at the discretion of about 70 people, 70 humans on Earth who make that discretionary decision. But sometimes you'll get a knockback on your advertising on Insta because it doesn't meet our, what do they say? Doesn't meet our something, yeah. Just means it's ugly. So that's how you speak on that. On LinkedIn, I don't know how you should speak on LinkedIn. I don't understand LinkedIn. I never look at it. All I get is spammy messages from people I don't know, selling me something I don't need. I don't get it. So I'm the worst person in the world to try and think about that. So maybe someone else is better at it than me. Snapchat is great, and I'm not going to tread on Katina's toes here or take any of her thunder from this afternoon, but it is great for selling an authentic story or using it as an authentic story piece to garner a really loyal following. Really loyal following. Now, the one thing that I would have to take into consideration before I put any effort into putting money, time, attention, and detail into Snapchat is now Instagram stories, which is basically Snapchat, but within the Instagram platform. That's got to take some focus from me. I'm going to have, if I'm thinking about where I'm going to spend my money and time, I'm going to spend less of it in that if I can do Instagram stories well, because it's backed up by the database of Facebook. And then Twitter's last in that group. But again, some people, that's where your fish are and that's where you should go. So that's, and Twitter is really just, Short, sharp, stream of consciousness stuff. Less, and I can tell you this, and I'd rather you didn't tell this outside this room, but direct response marketing, so that is where you see in your newsfeed or on your timeline on Twitter, you see a link, a story that says, buy this table. You click on the link, and then the table buying page loads. That's direct response, right? Where you see something as one click and you go through. It tends not to work on Twitter, because most people on Twitter aren't purchase ready, they're argument ready. Or they're information ready. So it's just a little bit, it's just another step. You just need another step. Something that works really well though is recording video. No, we talk about video a lot. Recording video on Facebook or Insta and actually leading people to that video from Twitter. In the old days, you would never tell anyone that, to go from one platform to another. It used to be suicide, but that actually works really well. To tweet something, and particularly since if it goes to your Facebook page, even someone without a Facebook profile can see the Facebook page link. Links like a web page. So that's a good time. Now, I want to go on to what I think is the most effective way to stand out, the single most effective way to stand out. But I think we're going to have a little break first.